Well, hi folks, I guess I ought to introduce myself. The name's Bill Gough. I retired from the service over here in the UK a little over 2 years ago, and I served for 42 years in a largely metropolitan fire service. Although I retired with the title Group Commander, which I guess is sort of equivalent to a mid-ranking city chief over there, in my time I've had responsibility for fire research and investigation, for training, for operations. And I've had command responsibility for a 9-station division of some 450 operational firefighting and support staff. As you can imagine, with 42 years of experience, I got involved in quite a number of local and national change programs. Some were more successful than others, some have evolved and become even more successful since. In my last few years of service, I was involved in the production of new national operational health and safety guidance. I also found myself working with a team of experts, investigating the line of duty deaths of 2 firefighters in a domestic high-rise fire. My work on firefighter safety has been recognised at the highest level. Since retiring, I've gone back to school and I'm undertaking a PhD. I'm researching the human factors aspects of operational injury to firefighters. But why am I speaking at FDIC 2016? Well, I always used to think that firefighting was a pretty universal skill. In simple terms, you put the wet stuff on the hot stuff. But through tragedy, we realised the basic skill had evolved into a science. And we in the UK had to learn this science. This we realised after 2 line of duty deaths way back in 1996. The investigation that followed then found us seriously wanting, all of us. Those of us charged with the responsibility of analysing the investigation report were left wondering, had we been so wrong for so long, or just plain lucky for so long? Anyway, we knew things just had to change or more firefighters were going to get hurt. We had to find a safer and more efficient way of dealing with the hot stuff. The most important thing we did then was to look out there at how other folks were doing the same sort of thing. We simply couldn't continue with the deeply embedded and insular, nobody does it better view we had of our own techniques. We looked beyond the UK, we looked over there in the USA, and we looked across Europe. We compared accident rates, injury rates, safety rates, and we found that the Scandinavian countries were having the greatest safety successes. So, cutting this long story short, fire services throughout the UK had realised putting the wet stuff on the hot stuff was not just a skill gained from experience, it was a skill that should be based on science. The science of compartment fire behaviour. But to improve firefighter safety meant we had to get 48,000 or so firefighters serving in 54 services to change the way they do things. Tactics that had been learnt during the Blitz years of the Second World War, tactics that fundamentally hadn't changed for over half a century, tactics that in some places had been handed down from father to son. In that long and tortuous journey, there were many lessons that we learned, as there have been since, in more recent years, from yet more line of duty deaths. So I guess that's why I'm at FDIC 2016, to share some of the experiences of our journey, from the realisation, at the cost of firefighters' lives, that there's a safer way of dealing with the hot stuff, a safer way of using the wet stuff. And no matter how culturally embedded things can change. Along with my colleagues Ben Walker and Shan Raphael, who had the same challenges in Australia, over 3 workshops we want to share these lessons and experiences with you. We want to help you realise a simple mantra, one that we took from your own safety programs. Everyone goes home. I look forward to meeting you at FDIC 2016.